Usually when I speak to people, I fill my presentations with case studies. I'll give you a classic example. I was in Australia recently and I spoke to the top bank. On the way to speaking to this bank, I was in the taxi reading the front page of the Sydney Morning Tribune, and the whole page was entitled Lifestyles of CEOs. And he talked about a guy who was working himself silly, introduced himself to his family on a Sunday morning and hardly had any time. When he went in the front door, his little children were waiting for him. He stepped over to them. I stepped over them on his way to the drinks cabinet to get a scotch. His wife came to give him a hug. He hadn't got the time. And then one day he went home and there were no children and no wife. And he found his 2 kids under the bed upstairs. And he lifted the quilt and his 3-year-old looked up at him with like a rabbit caught in the headlights. And he said, "What are you doing under there?" in an angry tone. And she said, "Daddy, we're frightened of you." And his 5-year-old daughter handed him a piggy bank. And she said, "This is for you, Daddy." He said, "What's that?" She said, "Mommy and myself have managed to save $24. Could I buy some of your time to help me with my homework?" His wife came out and said, "Is it worth it? Is it really worth it?" He did something dramatic. He actually built a shower at the end of his garage, and from that day onwards, after that was finished, he went into the shower, spent 10 or 15 minutes in the shower, put his jeans on and his sweats and came out and greeted the family with some love and affection. Saved his marriage. So I was telling this story to the bank and to the top directors, including the CEO. And guess what? The CEO stood up and said, "I know about that story. I wrote it."